Welcome back to the CryptoWorld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now we have some new patterns that we need to pay attention to, so definitely stick around. First of all, just giving you a quick update on the daily Bitcoin chart, taking a look at the Bollinger Band indicator, and right now we're still seeing these Bollinger Bands squeeze together, which is what I talked about in my last video that I posted yesterday on the channel. But basically, this means that a volatile move is coming sometime soon for Bitcoin. But rather than wasting the regular viewers' time by repeating what I said in yesterday's video, if you're new to this channel and you want to know more about this chart right here, which will be important for Bitcoin, then make sure you watch my last video that I posted yesterday on the channel. And the same can be said about this Bitcoin chart, which is still on the daily time frame. So once again, if you want to know more detail about what this chart actually means for Bitcoin moving forward, then check out my last video on the channel. But just briefly explaining what's happening here, first of all, we have an active bearish divergence in play, and obviously the daily Bitcoin RSI is still holding this ascending line of support as of right now. But looking at these last couple examples, if we see a break below that upwards trending line of support, then obviously that would be a bearish signal, so we need to keep a close eye on the daily Bitcoin RSI. And now zooming into the 12-hour Bitcoin chart, and right now the price of Bitcoin is currently seeing a bounce from this line of support, which was sitting at around 22.8k approximately. And in terms of this horizontal line of support, the 23.6% Fibonacci level, obviously that's still sitting at around 22.8k, but this ascending line of support has moved up a little bit, up towards around 22.9k. So around those prices is where I'm expecting short-term support for Bitcoin, and anything below those prices just there, we could end up seeing a drop down towards around 21.7k. And just keep in mind, even though over the past 1.5 months we've seen an uptrend for the Bitcoin price, and technically speaking we're still within this uptrend because we're still forming higher lows and higher highs, but with that being said, if you're looking at a momentum indicator like the 12-hour Bitcoin MACD, for example, we're actually seeing decreased bullish momentum throughout this bullish trend. And usually this sort of thing happens either just before a pause in the trend, so essentially a larger sideways consolidation or a bit of a pullback, or potentially a reversal in the trend into more of a bearish trend again. But either way, having a momentum indicator showing reduced bullish momentum is obviously not a bullish signal for the price of Bitcoin on this time frame. And a similar thing can be said about the situation on the 4-hour Bitcoin chart as well. Just in the immediate short term, right now we're seeing almost a complete lack in momentum to either direction. If you're looking in the MACD, for example, we're seeing multiple false bullish and bearish crosses, meaning that we see a bullish cross and then not long after we see a bearish cross, and then not long after that we see another bullish cross, and each of these crosses have almost no momentum if you're looking at the histogram within the MACD indicator. And at the same time as that happening, if you're looking at the 4-hour Bitcoin RSI, this is just chopping around sideways, especially over the past few days. And so like I've been saying over the past couple of days, I'm mostly expecting choppy sideways price action for Bitcoin moving forward. But as we get closer to Wednesday, the 10th of August, we could see some more volatility coming up in a few days, because on Wednesday, we have the July CPI numbers getting released, which will update the official inflation rate in the US. And usually around those times, especially if we see numbers way outside of expectations, we could end up seeing a lot of volatility around those events. And as we get closer to Wednesday, I'll be sure to explain what the new CPI numbers will mean for markets, and what would be considered bearish CPI numbers and what would be considered bullish CPI numbers. So if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to this channel with notifications turned on so that you do not miss out on my future important updates. But anyway, while we're on the 4-hour Bitcoin chart, technically we're seeing the formation phase of an inverse head and shoulders pattern, which is technically a bullish pattern, but keep in mind we need to see a confirmed breakout above the neckline in order for this pattern to actually be confirmed. And right now this neckline is coming into play at close to 23,500. So basically, if the price of Bitcoin confirms a break above 23.5k with at least a 4-hour candle close, but ideally if we can see a decent amount of volume on that breakout or a potential retest flipping 23.5k into new support, those would be extra confirmations which would obviously further confirm a breakout to the upside. But keep in mind, we don't need to see those extra confirmations. It's just if we do have more confirmations, we can be more confident in the strength of the breakout, meaning we can be more confident in the price hitting the price target. And speaking of the price target, if the price of Bitcoin breaks above 23.5k with confirmation once again, then that would set up a technical price target close to 24,500. So that would be around a $1,000 move. And measuring that out, that would be around a nearly 5% move to the upside. And keep in mind, around 24,500, that's right where that previous high is coming into play, which has already been confirmed as resistance. But once again, I want to make it clear that this price target only comes into play if we see a confirmed break above 23,500 first. And now heading over to the Ethereum part of this video, this right here is the daily Ethereum chart. Looking at the Bollinger Band indicator, right now we're still seeing that squeeze formation at the moment. And I also covered this in my last video on the channel, so to avoid wasting time, once again, if you're new to the channel, check out my last video if you haven't already. But something that I didn't point out in my last video was that this moving average, this center line right here, the red line, is currently acting as perfect support for the price of Ethereum here on the daily time frame. And by the way, this moving average is the 20-day simple moving average. And if you're looking back here during the bearish times, this moving average provided perfect resistance during the bearish times. But now that we're in an uptrend over the past 1.5 months, this same 20-day moving average is currently acting as support. And right now, that is coming to play at just above $1,600. And while we're on the daily Ethereum chart, obviously we still have an active bearish divergence in play, because obviously over the past few weeks, the price of Ethereum has been forming higher highs in the daily candle closes, but in the RSI, we're forming lower highs, which shows a lack in bullish momentum for this uptrend that we've been in over the past 1.5 months. And if you simply compare this to other times where we've seen a bearish divergence on the daily time frame for Ethereum, obviously all three of these previous examples came after we saw some sort of shorter term bullish trend. And then we saw the daily Ethereum RSI approach overbought territories, sometimes entering overbought territories and other times just brushing against overbought territories. But then the moment the price of Ethereum started forming higher highs while the RSI was forming lower highs, obviously that was showing a lack in bullish momentum once again, which usually means we're due to see a pause in the uptrend, or sometimes it can even act as a full-on bearish reversal, starting another significant bearish movement. So while this is happening, this is a sign to be cautious at the moment. And if you're zooming into the 12-hour Ethereum chart, obviously we're still forming this rising wedge pattern, which is technically a bearish pattern, because more often than not, this type of pattern does end up breaking to the downside. And for that to potentially happen, we need to break below this uptrend line of support sitting at around 1670. And obviously, not only does the price of Ethereum have to trade below that level of support, we also need to see confirmation, such as at least a daily candle close. But once again, if we see other confirmations like the confirmation methods I explained earlier in the video, then that can give us more confidence in the break to the downside. And in that scenario, if we do end up seeing a confirmed break to the downside, immediately I'll be looking towards this previous low, which is sitting at around 1560 approximately, because obviously if the price of Bitcoin breaks below that low and forms a lower low, then that would mean we're potentially in a lower high, lower low structure, which is essentially a reversal in this somewhat shorter term trend. And as for other Ethereum price targets on this chart right here, make sure to check out my last video on the channel once again. And now zooming into the shorter term, taking a look at the 4-hour Ethereum chart, we're still sitting above this 5-day moving average as of recording this video, which is sitting at around 1660. And if Ethereum breaks back below that moving average, I would expect Ethereum to drop down towards this previous low, sitting at around 1560 once again. And what's interesting is that we also have a Fibonacci level right at that previous low when looking at the Fibonacci retracement tool from this low back in the middle of July up to this swing high. And we also have this 50% retracement level coming in pretty close to this previous low, which is sitting at around 1350 to 1360. But as of right now, in the immediate short term, if you're looking at the 4-hour Ethereum RSI, technically speaking, this is more bullish than bearish at the moment because we're currently forming higher lows and higher highs. But if you're looking at the 4-hour Ethereum MACD, this is currently showing almost no momentum, just like Bitcoin. So based on that, I'd mostly be expecting a lot of choppy sideways price action as the most likely scenario in the immediate short term, talking about the 4-hour Ethereum chart. And if you want to know how to make easy profits in crypto if the price is chopping around sideways, then check out the video popping up in the bottom left of your screen. And if you want to maximize your profits in crypto, whether or not the price is going up or down, check out the video in the top left of your screen. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.